Good evening, folks. It's your bro, Rich here again. I just swear. So it's your bro, Rich here again. Today in this video is now part 2. That's right. So, today is officially it. Today in this video, today in this video is now officially. Today in this video is now officially part 2. That's right, part 2 on the Buick Gran Sport. And today I will be talking to you about all the other different Gran Sports that are available throughout the years. And so before I get started, make sure you all like the video, subscribe, like the video, like the video, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think. Hit the notification bell and hit all so you learn to make brand new uploads. Alright, so without any further ado, let's finish this. So, other Gran Sports. So we've got, there is 5 different versions. Starting off with the first one is the Riviera GS. Here we go. The Riviera, just like a lot easier. Anyways, so the Riviera Gran Sport, the Riviera Gran Sport was a high performance, luxury version of the Buick. So the Riviera GS was a high performance version. So high performance version. So high performance luxury version of the Buick Riviera. Produced from 1965. Say 1965. So 1965 through 1975. Say 10-year difference. In 1965, so in the mid 60s, it was called Riviera Gran Sport. Say Riviera Gran Sport. And the later models. Excuse me. Later models were still officially called Gran Sports. So Gran Sport, but showed GS badges instead of Gran Sport. So instead of Gran Sport, unlike the mid-size GS models, both the Riviera and Wildcat GS pack included a standard 3.42 posi traction. So 3.42 posi traction rear axle until 1973. The 65 and optional in 66 Riviera Gran Sport also came with a 7-liter 425 Super Wildcat V8 motor with both dual carburetors, so dual carbs and a dual snorkel and a dual, so with both dual carbs, so dual carburetors and a dual snorkel chrome air cleaner. You could add H2 option. You could add the H2 option, which is the ride and handling pack for better road handling, shorter gear ratio for steering, and 1 inch lower suspension. next up, next up, next up is the Wildcat GS. Another GS option pack Another GS option pack was available on the Buick, both the Buick Wildcat and Wildcat. So both Buick Wildcat and Wildcat Custom, both hard top and convertible. The GS pack included a 3.42 ratio posi rear, so posi traction, rear axle, variable rate suspension springs, quick ratio steering box, heavy duty sway bars, and a switch pitch turbo hydromatic 400 gearbox. The addition of the Y48 option gave the purchaser a pair of Carter A4B. Gave the purchaser a pair of Carter AFB 4-barrel, four barrel carburetors, and so both that and finned aluminum valve covers on the 7-liter 425 nail head V8 motor. This was a 1-year only option, existing in 1966 only. So this was a 1-year only option. So this was a 1-year only option, existing in 1966 only. The Y48 option was delivered in both the trunk and installed by the dealer. Next is the Century GS / Century GS Stage 1. In both 1973 to 1975 and also in 1986, there was a Century Gran Sport or Century GS. For 1973, Buick renamed its intermediate line from Skylark to Century, a nameplate previously used on Buick's full-sized performance cars. From 1936. So from 1936 to 1936 to 1942, and from 1936 to 1942, and 1954 to 1958. Like all GM intermediates, the 73 Century received new colonnade styling, which amounted to pillared hardtop sedans. So pillared hardtop sedans, coupes. So to pillared hardtop sedans, coupes. So hardtop sedans, coupes, and station wagon. So sedans, coupes, and station wagons, each of which utilized frameless windows along with fixed rear side windows, and convertibles were discontinued. On the Gen 3 Buick Century, the GS name badge became the Gran Sport and was now an option pack. On the semi-fastback. Sorry. And was now an option pack on the semi-fastback Century Colonnade. So it was now an option pack on the semi-fastback Century Colonnade coupes. The Gran Sport option include Gran Sport option include decals on both the rear fenders and on both the rear fenders and trunk lid, reading Gran Sport along with suspension and appearance. So both the suspension and appearance upgrades. The standard motor was a 5.7 liter 352 barrel V8, making a so so the standard motor was a 5.7 liter 350. So the standard motor was a 5.7 liter 352 was a 5.7 liter. So the standard motor was a 5.7 liter. So the standard motor was a 5.7 liter 350. So was a 5.7 liter 352 barrel V8 motor, making 150 horsepower. Say the standard motor was a 5. Say the standard motor was a 5. So the standard motor was a 5.7 liter. So was a 5.7 liter 3. So was a 5.7 liter 352 barrel V8 motor. So 5.7 liter 352 barrel V8 motor, making 150 horsepower, which was the standard motor for all centuries. In addition, the 5.7 liter 350. So, in addition to the 5.7 liter 350, so to the 5.7 liter 350 four barrel V8 motor. So extra 2 barrels more than the 2 barrel itself. So in addition to the 5.7 liter 5.7 liter 354. So 5.7 liter 350 4 barrel V8 motor. So in addition to the 5.7 liter 350. So in addition to the 5.7 liter 350 4 barrel V8 motor, making 175 horsepower with a single exhaust. And the same engine at all, just making it extra 15 more. So from 175 to 190 horsepower with the dual exhaust was available only on the Gran Sport 2 7.4 liter. So 7.5 liter 455. So 455 V8 motors were available in the 250 horsepower 4 barrel V8 and the standards. So not standard and the stage one 4 barrel V8 rated at an extra 20 horsepower more. So from 250 to 270 horsepower. So 270 horsepower, both with a dual exhaust. All net figures and similar. So all net figures and similar to the 1972 models. In 1973, Paul Walker's birth year. May rest in peace. So in 1973, only 900. So 979 will run up like nearly 100. So run up's nearly 900 Century Gran Sport. 7.5 liter, 455, and 728. Well, right, it was like 730. Century Gran Sport, 7.5 liter, 455. Stage one V8 models were stage one V8 models were assembled for the for the 5.7 liter 350 V8s. There were 3 gearboxes available: a 3-speed manual or a 4-speed, so 4-speed M21 manual, and a turbo hydromatic or turbo hydro 350 automatic. And in those two, I still picked the M21 4-speed. It's a 4-speed manual, which is much better. So for 5.7 liter, 350 V8 motors. So V8 motors, there were three gearboxes available: 3-speed manual, 4-speed M20, so 4-speed M21 manual, and a turbo hydro turbo hydro 300 automatic. And for 7.5 liter, presumably 455 V8s only, both the 4-speed M21 manual and the turbo hydromatic or turbo hydro 400 automatic. And turbo hydro 400 automatic. The 74th century Gran Sport received both exterior and interior trim changes. So both exterior and interior trim changes. The same selection of motors. So the same selection of motors. So the same selection of motors was carried. So the same selection of motors was carried over. So the same selection of motors was carried over from 1973, including the 5.7 liter. So the 5 point, including the 5.7 liter 4-barrel. So the 5.7 liter 350 4-barrel V8 motor, the 7.5 liter 455 4-barrel, and the 7.5 liter 455 stage 1 4-barrel. The 455s downrated to 245 and so to both 245 and 255 net horsepower respectively. In this year, the 455 stage one was one of the first GM cars that received HEI, high energy ignition distributor. So for those who don't know what that is, it's known as HEI or high energy ignition, which is an electronic ignition system designed by Delco Remy, so DRD, Delco Remy division of GM Delco Remy division. So Delco increase spark plug life, especially especially when unleaded fuels, especially when unleaded fuels used. The HEI or high energy ignition system has 40% more voltage output and 85% higher energy level than conventional breaker point systems to fire lean fuel mixtures, even under adverse conditions. There are many design variations over the years. There are many design variations. There are many design variations over the year. There are many. There are many. There are many design. So there are many design variations over the years and provisions. So there are many design. There are many design variations over the years and provisions. There are many design variations over the years and provisions from. So there are many design variations. So there are many design. There are many design variations over the years and provisions for computer controls were added for some applications starting in the late 1970s. A predecessor system called unitized ignition or UI was optional on both 72 73 Pontiacs. Most but not all HIE, so high energy ignition systems have the ignition coil mounted in a distributor cap, both a control module and magnetic pickup are mounted in a distributor in place of a conventional ignition. In place of both a conventional ignition system's breaker points and condenser. So at the 74th century, Gran Sport received exterior and interior trim changes. So exterior and interior trim changes, the same selection of engines, motors was carried over from 1973, including the 350 4-barrel, 455 4-barrel, and the 455 stage 1 4-barrel. The 455s, so the 455. The 455s downrated to 245 and 255 net horsepower, so net horsepower respectively. In this year, 455 stage 1 was one of. In this year, 455 stage 1 was one of first GM cars that received HEI or high energy ignition distributor, like 1973 model year for like 1973 model year model year for 350 motors. There was either a 3-speed or a 4-speed M21 manual and a turbo hydro 350 automatic. And for 455 motors, both the M21 4-speed, so both the 4-speed M21, so 4-speed M21 manual, or the turbo hydro 400 automatic. Radial tires were a new option for 74, along with reclining straddle bucket seats. In 74, only 579, so 579, while 580 Century Gran Sport 455 and 478 will run up to like 480. So 480 Century Gran Sport 455 stage 1 models were assembled for 75. So for 1975, a year later, the Century GS or Gran Sport entered its third and final year It was reduced to a mere appearance slash handling pack. So handling pack as the 455 stage one options were discontinued, and Buick's revived the 231 cubic inch V6, which I think is a 4 liter, I guess 4.5. I can't really tell. Or is it 3.8? I can't really tell. I can't tell for sure. So say and Buick's received. So and say and Buick's revived 231 V6. I think it's a 3.8 liter. I'm not too sure. So 231 V6 was the standard motor. So 231 V6 was the standard motor, made it to a standard, so either a standard 3-speed manual or optional turbo hydromatic. The only optional motors were two 5.7 liter, 350 V8s, a 2-barrel 155 horsepower version, or the 4-barrel option, rated at 175 horsepower. So 25 difference there. So rated at 25 horsepower difference there. So 20 horsepower. Sorry, I'm just getting tired. Sorry about that. So 20 horsepower difference. So rated at 175 horsepower from 155 to 120. So from 155 to 175, and offered only with the turbo hydromatic. Both motors were also mated to catalytic converters for the first time this year, which mandated the use of both unleaded gasoline and precluded the availability of true dual exhaust systems. Radial tires were now standard equipment, and the Strato bucket seat option reverted to the non-reclining version. Now we got the figures. Now we got the Buick Century Grand Sport production figures. Says from 1973 to 1975. So they did not produce the 231s at all, neither did 1974 or 5. So all 3 years did not produce the two. So all 3 years did not produce the 2. So all 3 years did not produce the 231. In 1973, they produced 4,900. So 4,900 and 30. So 4,930 350s in 1973, and in 1974 they produced 2,298. So it's like 7,220, I think, in total. So it's on the 231 and the 350. Now we got the 455. In 1973, they produced 979, well, 980. In 1973, and in 1974, they produced 500. So in 1974, they produced 579, well, 580 of those cars. There was none in 1975, which was in total 1,558 cars, and there was none for 1975 for the stage 1, which we're on next. So in 1973, they produced 728 of those stage 1 cars, and so 728. And in 1974, they produced 478. Total, none for the 231 and none for the 350. For the 455, 15 and 58, 106. For a yearly total, in 1973, they produced 6,637 cars. So that was 1973. The year Paul Walker was born. Rest in peace. In 1974, they produced 3,355. So 3,355. In 1975, they produced 12. So in 1975, they produced 1,288. Say in 1975, they produced 1,288. Total 11,280 were done. Both the Century GS, both the Century GS and the larger Riviera GS, which had also been continually produced since 1965. Since 1965, were discontinued after the 75 model year due to sagging sales for high performance cars following the 73, 74. So discontinued after the 1975 model year due to sagging sales for high performance cars following the 1973 and 1974 energy crisis and subsequent trends toward both smaller and more fuel efficient cars. Performance versions of the Century and its companion Regal line and Riviera would return in the late 70s with the advent of Buick's Turbo 3.8 Buick's 3.8 liter turbo 231 V6 introduced in 1978 on the Century / Regal intermediates and the full-sized full-sized LeSabre Sport Coupe, and then the newly introduced front-wheel drive Riviera in 1979 for the S-Type, which later became the T-Type, a nickname that would ultimately replace the T-Type, a nickname that would ultimately replace the GS badge for sporty / performance Buicks in the early 1980s. And with that same turbocharged 3.8 liter turbo 231 V6, so 231 V6, that's the same engine they used in the GNX. So a nickname that would ultimately replace the GS badge for sporty / performance Buicks in the early 80s. So in the early 1980s. So the Century GS model. The Century GS model returned in 1986. So in 1986. So in 1986, for what's now Buick's front drive intermediate sized car, Regal continued as a coupe on the 1978's vintage railroad drive G body until 1987. The GS was only offered as a two-door coupe and was powered by a 3.8 liter um by a 3.8 liter 231 fuel injected V6 fuel injected V6 made it to a made it to an overdrive four speed automatic with overdrive, but with far less power than the rear-wheel drive Regal GN's turbo intercooled version, rated at 245 horsepower. This Century GS was a one-year only offering. So this Century GS was a one-year only offering in 1986. Sold alongside both the Century T-Type coupe and sedan. Sold alongside the Century T-Type coupe and sedan. Next is the Apollo GSX. So it's not much on it. In 1974, the GSX consisted of a trim pack on Buicks. So consisted of a trim pack on Buick's small X-bodied or cross-bodied Apollo. Three motors are available on E74 GSX. The Chevy supplied 4.1 liter, presumably 250 inline six, and two Buick motors. Two 5.7 liter. So two 5.7 liter 350. Two 5.7 liter 350 V8s. So 5.7. So two 5.7 liter 5.7 liter so two 5.7 liter and two Buick motors. So two 5.7 liter 350 V8 motors. One is a two barrel. The other is a The other is a four. One is a two barrel. The other one is a four barrel version. And last but certainly not the very least, before we wrap it up for tonight, is both the Regal so the last but certainly not the very least is both the Regal GS and Regal GSX. For 1988 to 2004 and 2010 to present or future, there's both the Buick Regal GS and Gran Sport models. For Gen 3's Buick Regal, there was a Gran Sport version model. The GS option generally contained the following items: leather bucket seats, center console, black white body side moldings for the coupe only, Grand Touring FE3 suspension, which included faster Series 1 V6 producing 170 horsepower. So producing 170 horsepower was available for 1986. 6 years later, 6 years later, this was updated. This was updated to the Series 2 V6 with 205 horsepower. So 35 horsepower more than the Series 1 had. The 7704 body style featured a 3.8 liter supercharged Series 2 V6 motor making 240 horsepower. Not too bad for a V6. So for the Gen 4 Regal, the supercharged 3.8 liter. So the 3.8 liter supercharged V6 Regal GS had a quarter mile estimated time of 14.9, well 15 seconds flat, and a 0 to 60 acceleration time of 6.7 seconds. The Regal GS, equipped with a 3.8 liter supercharged L67 V6, produced 240 horsepower and 280 pound-feet, 380 newton meters of torque. The Regal GS's power control module, so PCM, the Regal GS's PCM or power control module, something like that, has programming that activates torque management. So the Regal GS's PCM, so power control module, something like that, has programming that activates torque management to reduce wheel spin at launch. Regal GS, so the Regal GS was EPA rated at 18 mpg in the city and 27 mpg on the freeway. So on the freeway, so it's a 9 mpg difference there. In the 0304 model years, Buick in the 0304 models, Buick in collaboration with SLP Performance came out with the Regal GSX. They offered both dealer installed options and dealer supplied accessories for GS models, like the GS Buick that came, like the GS Buicks that came before it. The SLP GSX came in three powertrain packs, referred to as stages. The stage one pack adds the stage one pack added 10 extra horsepower with the addition of both a dual stainless steel catback exhaust system and a free flowing colder intake system. For the stage two pack, a HPP, so a Hypertech power programmer with an SLP custom calibration tune was included with the stage 1 components, good for an extra 20 horsepower, which is pretty good. The range topping stage 3 pack added a 3.5 inch, so 3.5 inch smaller diameter added a 3.5 inch smaller diameter supercharger. So stage 3 GSX was conservatively rated at 270 horsepower. So 270 horsepower and 312 pound-feet and 312 pound-feet of torque. Since the parts were available from SOP over the counter for many years, there have been quite a, since the parts were available from SOP. So since the parts were available from SOP since the parts were available from SOP over the counter for many years, there have been quite a few Regal GS sedans that have been cloned, copied into a GSX football, so copied or cloned into a GSX for both appearance and performance purposes. Though the model didn't officially debut until though the model didn't officially debut until 2003. A licensed SLP dealer could a licensed SLP dealer could so a licensed SLP dealer could oh god. So though the model didn't officially debut until 2003, a licensed SLP dealer could perform the transformation on any Regal GS from 1997 to 2004. A true GSX can be verified from an SLP door jam label with the correct part number for the kit. 40 Gen 5 Buick Regal. The GS version of the Regal was based on the Opel, whatever it is, Insignia, I don't even know what it is, OPC, whatever it is, and there was a VXR version, I don't know what that is. This front wheel drive sedan GS features Buick's interactive, Buick's IDCS, interactive drive control system with GS mode, choice of an FGB Germany, choice of either a six-speed Buick's, choice of a six-speed FGB Germany F40-6 automatic, sorry. So choice of a six-speed FGB Germany F40-6 manual or a six-speed ISN AF40 G2 automatic high performance brakes with Brembo front calipers and high performance struts or hyper strut front suspension. 19-inch wheels will be standard, and 20-inch forged aluminum seconds. It's equipped with the GS with the GS only GS only high output. So GS only high output version of the 2-liter turbocharged turbocharged the 2-liter turbocharged Eco inlet 4 motor, I think it was. So inlet 4 presumably, I don't know, with 270 horsepower. Said 270 horsepower. Said 270 horsepower and 295 pound-feet. 400. So 270 horsepower and 295 pound-feet. 400 newton meters of torque. The GM so it's a GM LHU motor. So it's a GM LHU so the GM LHU motor used in the GS trim makes up, and so the GM LHU motor used in the GM trim makes 135 horsepower per liter. 40 Gen 6 Regal from 2018 Buick released an updated version of the Regal GS. Last part, and I'll officially end it there. The new Regal's equipped with a GM 3.6 liter LGX V6. Say 3.6 liter. 3.6 liter LGX V6. Say with a 3.6 liter. So with a 3.6 liter with a 3.6 liter with a 3.6 liter GM LGX V6 motor producing 310 horsepower. So 310 horsepower paired with paired with a 9-speed automatic, yielding acceleration from 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. So from 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. So from 0 to 60 in under 6. So from 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. So from 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. Alright, finally done with the finally done. Thank God, with the Buick Gran Sport. Finally all done. Finished. So done the Buick GS. Finally all done. Alrighty guys, so that is officially it for the Buick GS. So for my next video will be about something a little bit more hardcore, a bit more high performance and more modernized. So I will let you know what vehicle that'll be for tomorrow. Possibly we'll find out. Well, for my next video. Alright, so tonight. So if you guys like this video, like it, subscribe, comment down below what you subscribe, comment down below what you guys think. Hit the notification bell and hit all so you'll let it know when I make brand new uploads. Okay, 12:25, almost 12:30, almost 12:30, almost 12:30, almost 12:30, almost 12:30 in the morning. God, 12:30 a.m. Unbelievable. Alright guys, so that'll be it. If you guys like this video, like and subscribe, comment down below. So like and subscribe, comment down below. Like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think. Hit the notification bell and hit all. See you later when I make brand new uploads. Okay, I gotta go. I gotta shoot off to bed. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys soon in the next video. But until then, stay safe. Have a great evening and have a great morning. Have a great morning as well. And I'll see you guys soon in the next video. So yeah, take care, folks. Take care, folks. Stay safe out there. And I'll see you guys soon. So take care. Take care, folks. Take care, folks. So okay. God, I'm so tired. So take care, folks. Take care, folks. Stay safe out there. And I'll see you guys soon.